So as we start our afternoon session, we'd like to just first begin with a talk by Venerable Matthieu Ricard, speaking to us via recorded talk on Towards a More Altruistic World. So Venerable Matthieu Ricard is a Buddhist monk, author, translator, and photographer. He first visited India in 1967, where he met great spiritual masters from Tibet. In 1972, he moved to the Himalayan region where he has been living since. He is an international best-selling author and a prominent speaker on the world stage, celebrated at the World Economic Forum at Davos, forums at the United Nations, and at TED, where his talk on happiness and altruism have been viewed for over 7 million times. So we're very, very grateful that Matthieu Ricard is able to prepare his talk for us, and I will pass over to the AV team to show the talk. And welcome to,
Hello, dear friends. I wish I would be with you in person for this wonderful Metta convention dedicated to bringing more compassion in this world. So since I'm quite far away in the Himalaya, I will just share a few thoughts with you. Yes, among all the fundamental human qualities, compassion, loving kindness, solidarity, tenderness, benevolence, those are the most precious quality that we can cultivate and manifest in this life. This is the best way to nurture human relation with other species as well, the 8 million other species who are our co-citizens in this world, and we need to take care of them as well. Compassion and altruism is the most sort of wholesome state of mind that we human beings can generate. It's also, of course, the most precious for others because it is intended or directed towards others. True altruism and true compassion has for only goal to bring happiness and to relieve suffering in other sentient beings, with no ulterior motive or calculation. It is not interested altruism. We do something hoping to get something in return, either something better treatment in the future or some kind of feeling good about it or being praised about it. Is something that springs from the heart, that is moved by seeing the fate of others and that wants to bring them happiness. So in Buddhism we say that altruistic love is the wish, may all sentient beings find happiness and the cause of happiness. Now this is the general framework of kindness, benevolence, that embraces all sentient beings, whether they are near or far, friends or enemies. We just wish when they never exclude anyone from one's heart. Now when they suffer, and there's so much suffering in this world, as you can see every day in the news, incredible man-made tragedy where tens of thousands of people, children, women, find death so unnecessarily. This is just a product of hatred growing in some people's mind and spreading around. Unbelievable that one may deliberately wish to harm others. So compassion is just the opposite. Is the application of altruism and loving kindness to suffering. Instead of wishing simply and embracing all, may all sentient beings find well-being and the cause of well-being. When they suffer, then that wish naturally become, may all sentient beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. So in Buddhism that goes together within a frame of 4 boundless ideas. Boundless love, loving kindness. That's wishing that to all beings. Then boundless compassion for those who suffer. But you know, when we think of the immense suffering of all beings, people being separated from dear one, confronted with enemy, animals being exploited, cut in pieces while they are still alive in those slaughterhouses, like a hell for animals. Sometimes we feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of the massacre, of the suffering, of the destruction, of the mass killing and so forth. So we may try to lose courage. So this is time to move to the third measureless idea, which is celebrating, rejoicing. There are wonderful things happening in this world, not just bad news, there are also very good news. People helping each other, serving each other, dedicating themselves to the cause of others. So that celebration is a very important way of keeping, sort of renewing our courage to work for the sake of sentient beings. The fourth one is impartiality. We cannot just feel love and compassion for those who are dear to us or for those who treat us well. We have to extend the circle to strangers and sometimes to difficult cases, people who harm us or harm others or harm a lot of beings. So how can we do that? You see, the thing is that compassion is not a moral judgment. Of course, moral judgment should be there. No, bloody dictators are absolutely unacceptable ethically and morally. But compassion aims at remedying to any cause of suffering, wherever it is, however it looks, whoever it affects. So in that sense, a bloody dictator is an immense cause of suffering. So without slightest approval or indulgence for what that person does, we may wish from our heart, may the cruelty, may the greed, may the indifference of that bloody person disappear from that person's mind. May those who are the victim be free from the persecution from that person. May the culture that brought someone like that in power change over time. So that we can wish, of course. We can adopt the attitude of a skillful doctor, psychiatrist, who treats a very dangerous mad person. In the beginning, he might tie that person on the chair so that he doesn't harm others or doesn't harm himself or herself. But then what he's going to do? He's not going to take a big stick and smash his head. He's going to ask, can I cure that person? So that's the attitude of impartiality. It's not to exclude anyone from one's heart. It's to extend the circle of benevolence to all beings, starting with those who are dear to us, like an innocent child, someone we love very much. We only wish unconditionally that this person may flourish in life, may be spared suffering. Then we can extend. So we suppose we start with a child. Why should we stop at 12 years old? So we increase. Then why should I stop to my child, all the children as well? And why should I only have this benevolence for children? And then again, extend. It's a little bit like this. Some people say, well, I need to take care more of my dear ones, my children, my parents, my partner, my companion, the animals I take care of. Of course. But it should not be at the cost of excluding others. It's like the sun. The sun shines on everything and everyone equally. So of course, in life, there are people that are closer to us because of different karma or whatever, like our children or friends. So somehow they are sort of positioned nearer to the sun of our compassion and loving kindness. So they naturally get a little more warmth and a little more light. But it is not at the cost of excluding others, simply because of our respective position. And the sun still shines on everything and everyone. And actually, if the sun has a limited sort of aim, just to shine a few rays on that person, my dog, my child, then what will happen? The light will be dim, the warmth will be very less. So in fact, even for those whom we love, that sort of fragmented sun will not shine properly. So by shining on all, because of situation in life, we shine a little more to those who are dear to us, but we also shine on every sentient being. So that's very important. So we do have that potential for love and compassion. You know, everyone, I think, in this life felt unconditional love for a dear person. But it comes, it stays in our mind for a minute or two, then we do something else, we're distracted. That's normal. We don't cultivate that as if we were learning how to play the piano or something. We don't stay 10, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours with this intense, unconditional love for someone. So that's what mind training is about. People call that meditation sometimes. That means starting with someone who is very dear to us is easier. Filling our mental landscape with unconditional love, and then try to keep that, to nurture that. If we are distracted, come back to it. If it declines, revive it. So try to keep the quality, the intensity of that unconditional love for 1, 5, 10, 20 minutes, 1 hour, all day if you want. Why not? People who do retreats in the mountains, they can meditate on loving kindness all day. And that's wonderful. And if you do so regularly, you will change. Your brain will change, that neuroscientists have told us. According to our teachers, it is better to have repeated regular session, say to cultivate compassion, say like just 10 minutes, twice or 3 times a day, but very regular. Rather than deciding every 15 days, I'm going to do that whole day. Because then we don't have we don't have the faculty to assimilate that properly. If it's day after day, also the neuroscientists will tell you that's how the brain will change through neuroplasticity. It's just a bit like you have a plant in your house. You put some water every day. If you decided to put a bucket of water once a month, in the meantime the plant would have died. So we need regularity and repetitivity. So we have the faculty to change. We are not born with equal sort of propensity for compassion and love, but nothing is graven in stone. You know, we learn how to read and write, to, play chess or play tennis or whatever, swim. So we were not born like that. So we learned, we trained. So every human skill comes with training. So by which kind of mystery, some fundamental quality like focused attention, inner peace, inner freedom, resilience, compassion, loving kindness will be either static, never moving, whatever we do, or right away at the top? Of course not. Again, nobody was born knowing how to read and write. So, like any other skill, they can be cultivated. We may have a different margin according to our disposition. We may not all become Olympic champions of compassion, but surely we can increase it significantly. It's like if you play the piano, you may not become a concert musician, but if you play every day, 10, 15 minutes, after 1 or 2 years, you will be very happily playing some wonderful music of Bach or Mozart or something. So the same is true for this fundamental human quality and for compassion. The study to which I participated with neuroscientists like Richard Davidson and others has shown very clearly that those meditators who spend their life cultivating compassion, they can, when they engage in this very strong compassion, the magnitude of increase of certain frequencies in the brain is huge, more than what was described before in neuroscience. But not everyone has to do, or the faculty, or the capacity, or the time, or the opportunity to do 10 to 60,000 hours of meditation. But what is interesting is they studied also people who do it, say, 20 minutes a day, and after 3 weeks, and all the more after 3 months, you can see some functional change and structural change in the brain. Your brain has changed physically. So that shows that any training has a result, and that's the law of cause and effect. You could train for terrible things, You could train your mind to become insensitive to the suffering of others, to kill without any second thought. That's also neuroplasticity, but going in the wrong direction. So that's very encouraging. That means we can all change, no matter where we start from. So now, if you look at the effect of altruism and compassion on others, of course, they will appreciate if you are caring for others. If you do everything that is within your capacity to relieve their suffering, they will appreciate. Interestingly, this is also the best way to live a fulfilled life. It's like the twofold the accomplishment of others' good and your own good. If you do this, so it's a win-win situation. Now the opposite, I'm only interested in my happiness. I'm not against others' happiness, but it's not my job. You live in the stuffy bubble of self-centeredness. Me all day long. First of all, you will make everyone miserable around you. Secondly, you will also feel miserable because me is not a very pleasant situation. Everybody, everything becomes either instrument for furthering your personal goals or a threat to your personal goal. What a world. So it's a lose-lose situation. So you see, with compassion, it's a win-win situation. With selfishness, it's a lose-lose situation. Now let's see the global picture. The challenges of the 21st century. One of them is to reconcile 3 time scale: short-term, mid-term, and long-term. Short-term, it could be a mother in Africa whose sole preoccupation is to feed her kids for the week that is coming. She cannot think of long-term impact on the environment and so forth. She has to survive, and her children too. So then there is the mid-term, that is a few years, a career, a project, a family, a lifetime. And for that, our genuine aspiration is to have a good life, a fulfilled life, to find the basic happiness and avoid suffering as much as possible. No one wakes up in the morning thinking, may I suffer the whole day and if possible my whole life. Then there's a third dimension that was not so crucial, until a few hundred years ago. 10,000 years ago, there were only 5 million people on Earth. So no big deal. No, they could not do either much damage, neither much good or much bad. Beginning of 20th century, 1 billion, now 8 billion. It might come down because of climate change and conflicts and so forth. But now we are at this time where the technological, scientific revolution, industrial revolution has made us the main architect of the future of our planet. There's the Anthropocene, the great acceleration in the 1950s. So now we are holding in our hands the fate of future generations. They will suffer if we continue that way. And they will say, you knew and you did nothing. So now, suppose there are a few nutcases in this world who wants to wage war and things like that, but most of us want a better world. So if you put around the table scientists of the environment, politicians, social workers, entrepreneurs, investors, the mothers in Africa who wants to feed their kids, poor people who live in poverty in the midst of plenty because of the growing inequalities all over the world, and because the absurd, indecent situation where 10 people only have as much wealth as the 25% poorest in humanity. Something is deeply wrong with such a system. So suppose those wants to achieve a better world. They need a concept to reunite, reconcile the short term, the mid-term, and the long term. Selfishness will not do the job. You will just pursue your immediate personal interests. Why should you care for future generations? You will not even see them. Again, they will suffer, but it's not, if you don't care, that's it. So there's only one, both moral and pragmatic concept. It's having more consideration for others. That's another way of saying compassion. Because if you do have compassion, you will care for poverty in the midst of plenty. You will try to remedy those vastly increasing inequalities where the freedom of the richest happens at the cost of the lack of freedom of the poorest. Then, if you have more consideration for others, in the midterm, you will make sure that the conditions at work, in the transport, for health, education, are conducive to flourishing in life. And if you are genuinely caring for the fate of future generations, you will listen to the recommendation of the environmental scientists who tell you what should be done. And they are kind of quite desperate that the heads of state are so reluctant to take the necessary measure. We might have still another 5-6 years to try to mitigate the worst of global warming. You know, if it grows to 4 degrees, human population will come down to 1 billion. Not because of, birth control or because all become nuns or monks, because of conflict, because of sickness, because of famine, because of immense suffering. So we cannot ignore that. So that's why compassion, altruism, cooperation is the only pragmatic concept to remedy to those conditions. Then we will have an economy that is at the service of society and not society at the service of the economy and of the service of the few very rich people. We'll make sure we have enough consideration for others at the level of governments, at the level of administration, at the level of every walks of life. And we will genuinely do what is necessary not to inflict terrible suffering on future generations. Also bringing about the 6 major extinctions since life came on Earth 4 billion years away that may come with so many species disappearing every year. And that's a catastrophe that not only affects other species, but will affect, of course, human beings, because everything is deeply interconnected. So we should dare to recognize that compassion is the solution. We should dare to teach it in a secular way in schools and in other walks of life. We should dare to say that it's not a noble utopian ideal, but it is the only pragmatic answer. So let's hope that together we can build a better world. Let's have a dream that compassion become more imbued in everyone's mind, that they stop massacring each other, that they stop, sort of using others as means to become endlessly rich with having no consideration for those who suffer, having no empathy, no loving kindness, no compassion. Albert Schweitzer said, love is the only thing that doubles every time you give it away. Maybe that's the best investment possible for those interested in investments, isn't it? Kofi Annan, Lord Bertrand Russell said, cooperation is the only thing that can save us in these difficult times. So again, we should put compassion at the very center of our life and the life of those around us. We should extend it to other species. We should not exclude again anyone from one's heart. And that's the way to go. So I'm very grateful for this Metta convention to do, every one of you do their very best to cultivate compassion in your own life, to spread the message about the importance of compassion for our world today, so that we can address those challenges successfully. So I'm very grateful for giving me this opportunity to share this idea that are very dear to me. Some years ago, I spent 5 years of intense research on all fields of science, philosophy, environment, and so forth, to put everything together, all the resources needed to make the case for the need for altruism and compassion. I did a book called Altruism that is much too big. It's not that, I didn't invent anything, fortunately, because that will be only limited to one person. But it is something that can serve for everyone to build together a better world, to bring all the different resources, studies on evolution, on economy, on education, on governance, how to achieve a more compassionate world. So that is something that has inspired my whole life. And I wish now that I'm soon turning 80, that I can die in peace and with a mind filled with compassion and loving kindness. So take care of yourself and take care of others.